All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight aftermath, and one of the most distinguished, and trust me, I'm being sarcastic when I say distinguished, boxing organizations has lost their mind after the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. win. Ring Magazine and its editor, Dougie Fisher, have really shown an amazing lack of professionalism once again as they gloat and taunt Errol Spence Jr. after his loss to Terence Crawford. Let's talk about it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where we are going to talk about one of the trashiest organizations that there is in boxing, in my opinion. Not trashy because they don't have the ability to write a complete sentence and or the work ethic to consistently cover fights, or a name with a brand and a lineage that goes back a long time. But trash because of the personalities that work there now and the vindictive and obviously paid for content that they release, either indirectly by the way that they put out certain information about fighters that are with the PBC, or directly with things that come out of their mouths that have to shock you, but would only shock you if you didn't know where they came from. But fortunately for you, you have somebody on this channel, me, who's been watching these writers for a very long time. But what they've said about Errol Spence Jr. and Stevie Fulton Jr. is just, it's mind-boggling to me. Complete and utter disrespect for them and the boxing fans that they act like they want to actually support their organization. Wow. But before we get into it, and I'm telling you I'm going to get into it, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support, especially to you guys that support in the super thanks of videos like this. Unlike Ring Magazine, we're not owned by a promoter that will pay us to say whatever. At least that's my take of what's going on. So thank you guys that actually support it by sponsoring these videos. But let's get into this. I was absolutely shocked and amazed when I saw a Instagram post, a comment by the editor of Ring Magazine. Name is Dougie Fisher. And Dougie Fisher is a guy that has been around the sport of boxing as a journalist for a long time now. I have followed Dougie Fisher from the early 2000s when he was a writer for a boxing magazine, a boxing website called Max Boxing. Not the show Max on Boxing, which thankfully got canceled on ESPN for doing a lot of the things that Max Boxing used to do. However, and trust me, I'm getting there with the subject and why Max Boxing is important. However, he became the editor of Ring Magazine some years ago, and he had something very nasty to say to Errol Spence Jr. and Steve Fulton Jr. fans, which was to call them butthurt and say, says, I'm telling you, man, it's absolutely amazing, man. It's absolutely amazing to me that he says, listen to this. Listen to how many shots this man takes at PBC fighters. He says, when Canelo beats Charlo, You're going to melt down and implode even more than you did when Inoue schooled and KO'd Fulton and when Bud trashed Spence. All of you know-nothings are just butthurt that your favorite fighters are getting exposed. Let me repeat this. This is from the editor of Ring Magazine, an organization that people claim should be able to name who the champion is in the sport of boxing. Again, this is the editor of Ring Magazine. This is not me or you going back and forth with each other, talking about just insulting one another because somebody got brownie points by picking the right fighter. This is a guy who is the editor of a boxing magazine, of a boxing organization that is claimed to be the Bible of boxing, and the organization that should be able to name champions, rank champions, and name champions. Could you imagine if Mauricio Sulaiman, the head of the WBC, or the head of or Daryl Peoples, the guy that runs the IBF, or Pablo Varcarcel, or Gilberto Mendoza of the WBO and the WBA, if they would say something like this about fighters in their ranking system? When Canelo beats Charlo, you're going to have a meltdown and implode even more than you did when Inoue schooled and KO'd Fulton and when Bud trashed Spence. All of you know-nothings are just butthurt because your favorite fighters are being exposed. Is there anything in there about Oscar Valdez losing into Emmanuel Navarrete? No, there's not. No, there's not. Is there any mention of a fighter that is not in the PBC? Charlo loses to Canelo. When Spence got trashed by Crawford. When Inoue schooled and KO'd Fulton. These are a former Golden Boy fighter in Canelo Alvarez, and DAZN fighter in Canelo Alvarez, a former top-ranked ESPN fighter in Terence Crawford, and another top-ranked ESPN fighter in Monster Inoue. And the disdain that the man has for American fighters, the disdain that they show for American fighters, bro. It's just, it's mind-boggling to me. But these are the people that you actually have boxers saying, oh, I want to hold their belts up. Oh, I want to hold, hey, where's the Ring Magazine belt? Bring me my Ring Magazine belt. This is not the first time. Now let's address this know-nothing thing, because I told you I was going to come back. I was going to come back to the Max on Boxing, right? Max Boxing website. Dougie Fisher and Steve Kim, when I first started listening to them, it was around the time of Floyd Mayweather Jr. fighting Diego Corrales. Floyd Mayweather Jr. fighting Diego Corrales, who they picked to lose. They said Diego Corrales was going to win that fight. And you better believe they did not accept that loss. They had, what did he call it? A meltdown, in my opinion, because they were butthurt that Diego Corrales got destroyed by Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you could track Floyd Mayweather, their stance on Floyd Mayweather Jr. all the way through to when they founded the PBC. Also, were these same people know-nothings when they predicted that? Or know-nothings when Andre Ward beat Sergey Kovalev? Or were they know-nothings? Because your favorite fighters get exposed? Because, first of all, who's Stevie Fulton Jr.'s whose favorite fighter? Jermell Charlo's whose favorite fighter? And again, these are guys that, along with ESPN, refuse to even put Stephen Fulton Jr. or Jermell Charlo in a pound for pound list, no matter, despite the fact that they've been unified champions and undisputed champions. but they just know so much. But do you hear the hate? Do you hear the nasty and spitefulness that he has in his voice when he talks about this? This is stuff that you hear reflected all throughout the internet and people's comment sections. I'm telling you, those guys, I will never, ever, as long as I have a voice and I'm talking about boxing, never go with any line that the Ring magazine needs to be naming anybody the champion. Also, let's go back to another thing that that Ring magazine tries to do. They try to be the one that's naming the lineal champion. And their champion was the lineal champion. Up until, of course, Tyson Fury drops the belt and now he's still lineal, but the champion is Alexander Usyk. How does that work out? And they're owned by a promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, who pays their checks. So look, man, their attack on Errol Spence Jr., on Steve Fulton Jr., and ahead of time, Jermell Charlo, as if Jermell Charlo is going to be exposed if he moves up 2 weight classes and he loses to Canelo Alvarez. If he loses to Canelo Alvarez, man, these guys, I'm telling you, they are just, and he says when, because he says when Canelo beats him. If Canelo beats him, he's exposed. Amazing. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.